In the book Guns, Germs, and Steel, Jared Diamond argues that human history was determined in large part because of geography. The climates and orientation of the continents chose which societies got ahead and which did not. So, what if those continents were swapped? Let's imagine that 10 million years ago, Africa and South America switched places. What would the world be like? Well, human civilization would have then started in the other hemisphere, meaning that by the time the two continents contacted one another, the West would have had at least a 20,000-year head start, if not more. But first, let's look at the climate. Over in Africa, Egypt, now at the equator, would be a lush rainforest. The Nile River would be surrounded on either side by dense jungles, not by desert. But that rainforest would gradually melt down to a savanna, then into a hot desert as you go further south, so that the Congo River would flow through sand. Without any onshore winds and next to a cold ocean current, this desert would be particularly dry. Keep going south down the west coast of Africa and you'll get to the northern part of Namibia. Not a desert, like in real life, but a Mediterranean climate, kind of like California. The further south you go, the colder it'll get until South Africa turns into an icy subarctic environment when it meets Antarctica, kind of like Alaska. Meanwhile, the other side of Africa wouldn't be as dry since it has onshore winds by Ethiopia and the warm Atlantic current passing by the coast. So Somalia would be a savanna with jungle along the coast, kind of like northeastern Brazil. And as you travel down that coast, you'll find a humid subtropical environment, kind of like the US South or Uruguay in real life. Then, after that, an oceanic climate, kind of like France, gradually getting colder and colder. How about South America? Brazil would be this world's Sahara, with the Amazon as this world's Nile. Winds across the Sahara would squeeze out what little moisture they have at the Andes, creating a small pocket of savanna over here. Venezuela would be like Morocco, dry but with a Mediterranean climate in the north. Southern Brazil, passing over the equator, would be a tropical rainforest, with Patagonia now a humid subtropical climate, kind of like Zambia in real life. So now that we've got the climates of these swapped continents, how about the people? Now, in real life, humans spread across Eurasia over the course of dozens of thousands of years. We should expect the same to happen in this swapped scenario, with humans spreading across the western continents, then crossing the Bering Land Bridge to Asia, maybe 30,000 years ago. Now, in real life, once humans arrived in the Americas, they traveled across the whole length in only a few thousand years, despite it taking 50,000 years or so to cross Eurasia. As a compromise, we'll say it takes humans 30,000 years to trek across the varied environments of Eurasia and reach the tips of Europe and the northeastern part of Africa. How about civilizations? Well, in real life, the first human civilizations arose in dry areas alongside rivers, the Nile River, the Tigris and Euphrates, the Indus. So the same would happen here. The Congo would be a good early contender for the first cradle of civilization, rivaled by the Niger River to the northwest and the Nile to the northeast. Distant Mexico, California, and Mississippi could become homes to early civilizations as well, kind of like India and China in real life. These ancient civilizations would have developed farming societies, invented bronze tools, constructed dozens of competing city-states, and formed the first empires. While civilization arose in hot regions, when the Iron Age came around, it was those in more moderate regions which turned out on top. In this scenario, the spine of Africa along the east coast and North America would prove to be the dominant powers, forming empires which dominate earlier rising civilizations. North America, with its fertile soil and warm environment, could hold a massive population just like China. While these societies developed new technologies and written literature, humans across the pond in Eurasia would just be starting the first civilizations. In real life, the late bloomers in America arose in mountainous regions where tough conditions drove people to gather in societies. The Himalayas, the Hindu Kush, and the Anatolian Plateau would likewise see their own Inca and Aztec empires in this scenario. Other regions, however, would probably be sparsely populated by hunter-gatherer societies. In this scenario, a kingdom in the Hudson Valley, pressed for new lands by Mississippi and by the Caribbean's stranglehold on trade with the South, sends explorers in search of alternatives. These explorers would be swept by winds to Iceland, then mainland Europe. Or alternatively, Somalians could take winds across the sea to Patagonia and the Andes. The discovery of these new worlds would ignite an age of exploration. Sailors would cross the shores of Europe and South America, while Hudson conquistadors discovered the Anatolian civilization and might conquer it. Somalia, California, or Madagascar, meanwhile, could sail to Asia and contact societies over there. Now, after thousands of years of population growth and war, the Westerners would have a slew of horrible diseases for which the Eurasians would have no natural immunity. This would wipe out population there and open it up to large-scale colonization, just like America in our timeline. Those oceanic states like Hudson or Somalia would grow even stronger at the cost of their rivals, with excess population being settled in empty lands such as Patagonia and France. Europe and South America would be a good place for a large super colony to gain independence, forming a powerful country kind of like the United States or Brazil in our timeline. These regions' fertile soil and friendly environments would allow this society to grow prosperous, perhaps becoming a world power within a few hundred years. So this is what the world would look like today, with Hudson, Europe, California, Somalia, and South America being the site of the world's major powers. The rest of the world would be divided between them. But what do you think? Comment below on how you think this scenario would play out, or what video you want next, and don't forget to subscribe.